we actually started here some years ago, coming to the creative writing course over nearly 10 years now, I suppose. And we became friends, and when COVID hit us, we wondered what to do. What were we going to do with our weekly get-together? And one of our group, Kate, had this brilliant idea during lockdown that we could use Zoom. Well, at that point, none of us had really heard of Zoom. We all know what it is now. And so we went onto Zoom, and we kept on meeting. And in that time, we have produced a number of booklets, which are over there, and they're available for sale if anybody's interested. And we have developed our own website. I say we, not me, but other people in the group. Taken part in several online literary events, and published 2 collections of our poetry, which I've just referred to over there. And really it was a case of adapt or die, and we decided to adapt. So we have, tonight, we're going to be doing something quite experimental. We've not done this before, ever. And we hope it won't crash and burn. It'll just all go really, really well, and you'll enjoy the evening. And we're going to be having a lot of jazz, and we do welcome and are thankful to the quartet who are with us tonight. We've been practicing just before you came in, and the music sounds really good. And I hope you enjoy the poetry as well. So have a good evening, and hand over to you, Jean. Thank you very much.
So we're starting off with the prologue. The world is full of mystery and memories and hope. We weave the threads together with love to help us cope. Each year brings excitement, the promise of pizzazz. And this evening we bring to you the magic of poetry and the magic of jazz. And now we have Barbara.
In 2019, just before COVID struck, I was fortunate enough to go to New Orleans and the southern states of America, where blues music and jazz were born. So my poem is an attempt to convey some of the history that inspired the jazz genre, and I've called it All That Jazz. All that jazz, cradled in the deepest south, fusions of race and culture foamed around the Mississippi mouth. Slavery, pain, and anger chimed with rhythm, blues, and swing, spreading to cities across divided land, like a bee's redemption sting. All that jazz, emanating from Congo Square, where African dance mourned indelible loss with ragtime and gospel prayer. Syncopation met improvisation like no other genre has. Musical giants and heritage triumphs, all that jazz.
And now we have Malcolm.
Thank you. Right, I'm Malcolm. You're going to hear some great poetry and some great music tonight, but this one's just a bit of fun, really. It's a person's life in song titles, and there's 37 in all. Most of them have connections to jazz. The opening of the poem refers to the first single I ever bought at the age of 12, I think, in 1961, and I have it here. our very esteemed bass player says he has the same copy, which is a bit surprising, really.
I've learned more recently.
Yeah. And that got into the hit parade in the UK and also in America, which is a bit surprising. But anyway, Barbara got to the title All That Jazz first, so I've called this Jazz and All That. Back then, in 1961, when in the London smog, smoke got in my eyes, it was Kenny that took me to the ball in Moscow, and at a time I should have been in bed. But life went on. Soon I had a funny Valentine who made me cry a river when I said let's fall in love, and she said no. One moment the whole world in my hands, the next every day I had the blues. I hit the road, got my kicks on the M1 to Leeds. In time I aimed high. How high is the moon? Fly me to that moon. I did it my way. At university I was bewitched, bothered and bewildered by the forbidden fruit on offer. I was told anything goes, but I ain't misbehaving, I'm working hard, sometimes even by the light of the silvery moon. I ain't got nobody, but I'm feeling good. I got a job, I work night and day, never allowed to take 5. But as time went by, I wanted more. You're no one till somebody loves you. Tall and tanned and young and lovely, the girl from Nottingham, she came walking, and the very thought of her got under my skin. Night and day, I only had eyes for her. A child is born, God bless the child. We lived on the sunny side of the street. I couldn't stop loving her. The house became a home. Through all sorts of stormy weather, que sera, sera, we did survive. Now, in the winter of our lives, we still say, what a wonderful world. Thank you.
Well, our first poem is called Sometimes, and it's really based on what happened during the first lockdown. If you remember, it was a beautiful spring, and we actually had time to stand and stare. And I spent a lot of time standing and staring at our copper beech tree in the front garden. So this poem is about the copper beech tree, and it's called Sometimes. Sometimes, so still, you stand and soak it up, soak it up. Nothing, no one can hide from you. You see it all, soak it up, soak it up. Every crooked branch points forwards, backwards, skywards, beating out time, time to savor, time to hold, time to remember, clinging on to that final drop of rain, before the chimes of time turn and turn, soaking, soak it up, choking back the tears and fears of memory and loss. Loss, lost in the memory, but remembered in the skin, remembered in the flesh, as the branches begin to flesh out for another birth, another day, sometime. Thank you.
Thanks, Myrna. Right, next one, it's me. Yeah, I wrote a poem a little while ago. It was inspired by a group of people who make pots. And sadly, the class, COVID has done with the class really. But I wrote it as a poem and then it became a song. So it's about pottery, it's about creativity, and it's about the seaside. And it's called Sand with Stars. Boats in the bay, sand between my toes, a clear blue sky, and thoughts that flow and grow, a wheel that turns the clay, hands that guide and form the shape of words to say, and hearts that keep us warm, a potter's guide to life, grounded by the land, an artist's way with light and colours in the sand. The sand is washed by waves, the sky is bright with stars. They meet where artists play, in horizons near and far. Boats in the bay, sand between my toes, a clear blue sky, and thoughts that flow and grow, a wheel that turns the clay, hands that guide and form the shape of words to say, hearts that keep us warm, a potter's guide to life, grounded by the land, an artist's way with light and colours in the sand. The sand is washed by waves, the sky is bright with stars. They meet where artists play, in horizons near and far. Thank you very much. We now have Howard.
This poem is by Jim Mallin, who's sitting just there, quietly. It's called The Drifting Men, the Houses of the Rising Suns. My mother was always his queen when he became a drifter man, before home was always serene until his drinking began. When Mum passed away, Dad was roaming the towns. He came for me, but we didn't stay. Finding drink, we drifted around. Moving around from that day, we played in all the pubs, with drink not far away, educating me in his seedy clubs. We got me a blues guitar, and a twosome we became. We went from bar to bar, with a false promise of instant fame. Teaching me how to wheel and drum, I wallowed my early years in clubs of rising suns, lost in dreams of dread and fear. Dad was drunk most of the time, he would sing his blues blind, always playing a very fine line, until drink finally took his mind. Left on my own, lost and lonely, I followed Dad's sad path, was all I knew, but if only I hadn't got the travelling draft. All you drifters and wayward men, listen to my learnt warnings. Let my actions remind you when to be wary of late night mornings. Thank you.
I was reading Jim's poem. Right, we now have Bill.
This poem I'm going to read was inspired by a visit I made to Louisiana, New Orleans in 2007, where I heard a great blues musician. It's called Blues Man, New Orleans. He was old and black, his skin wrinkled molasses. Barely able to walk, he shuffled onto the small makeshift stage at the outdoor cafe in the French market. He blinked once, cleared his throat and pulled a battered harmonica from his jacket pocket. He began to growl a plaintive blues song. Nothing special, the usual "My Woman Done Left Me." He was a Mississippi River bum, a crippled cotton picker, a honky-tonk man, a train travelling through a southern night. But when he put that harp to his lips, he blew my head apart. Thank you.
So this is a poem that I wrote a little while ago. It's about a relationship gone badly wrong. So it's called Nothing Fits the Silence. Okay. Yeah, okay. So thought I got the wrong one or something. Nothing fits the silence like the blues. We kicked the habit. Now we're cornered in a stranger's borrowed shoes. No room for love songs. Nothing fits the silence like the blues. We played it sideways. A checkered game that blinded us with clues. No time for thought waves. Nothing fits the silence like the blues. We made the grade to separate beds and crates of booze. Passed out with flying colours. Nothing fits the silence like the blues. We ran too soon. Two stable mates, a gambler who wouldn't choose. Next time a winner. This time we'll have to settle for the blues. We lost the feel. Grilled or safely frozen, no prize for guessing. Nothing fits the silence like the blues. eat it up. Clutching packages in separate queues. Half tried and fully paid for. Nothing fits the silence like the blues. We cancelled the Beano. Told the landlord we decided on a cruise. Somewhere short of postcards, nothing fits the silence like the blues. Thank you very much. Right, I think we've got Howard next.
This is my poem. It's called Text Life. 5:10 and I still love you. 5:30, I'm not so sure. 6 o'clock, I'm in a stupor. 6:30, I love you lots. 8 or more and you don't love me. 8:15, I want to die. By 9, the rum and coke has gone. By 9:10, you've changed your mind. At 10:30, we're getting married. 11 comes and you want a divorce. Come midnight and I'm dreaming of you. 1 a.m, I'm wide awake. 2 a.m, do you dream of me? 3 a.m, drift back to sleep. 3:30, I get a text. At 5 to 4, I give reply. Facebook says that you don't love me. You're still living, status single, love to party and to mingle. 5 o'clock and it's all over. 12 hours gone, a sleepless night. Midday and we meet for coffee. I think everything's gonna be alright.
Pleased about that. Howard. We now have Barbara.
Yeah, I'm going to read a poem by Karen Byrne now. Karen is a member of our writing group, but she's not here this evening. She has, however, contributed this poem. It describes her frustration with Alexa, which some of you will know is Amazon's virtual technological assistant. And Karen has called it Stuck on Jazz. Alexa, play trad jazz. Frank Sinatra, fly me to the moon. Black and white movies of yesteryear. Thin, men shuffling and twirling. Drama and romance. Now staccato and brassy brass. Alexa, play modern jazz. No, stop! I can't stand it. No melody. Beating but no rhythm. No sense. I feel trapped, stuck. When will it end? Nightmare. Do I need drugs to appreciate this? Alexa, please stop. Alexa, play Miles Davis. Too smooth, too smothering. Stop, Alexa. Alexa, give me punk.
We've got Jackie.
Yes, I'm Jackie. And I'm reading a piece called Dancing in Your Head. It's a reference to the 1977 Ornette Coleman album of the same title. Clouds so dark and heavy, afternoon has become night. Rain is pounding on the roof of our transit. Windscreen wipers fight a battle they can't win. Ornette Coleman is our in-vehicle music of choice, and I'm dancing in my head. We hurtle down the middle lane of the M1, the ancient city of Leicester, our destination. A removal van to the left and a coach on the right. The grille of an articulated lorry fills the rear window. Our windscreen has gone from transparent to opaque, in shattered pieces powered by the wind and rain rushing straight towards us. My hands cover my eyes. Silent prayers leave my lips as I turn my focus back to the music. We charge along the motorway like warriors heading for Valhalla, accompanied by Ornette Coleman and the master musicians from the Moroccan village of Tijuca. But as luck would have it, they weren't expecting us. So instead of Asgard, we arrived shaken but unscathed in the car park of the De Montfort Hall for that night's gig. Saint Cecilia may be the patron saint of musicians, but I believe Ornette and his pals were our guardian angels that day, and still, I'm dancing in my head.
Right, we're going to do a jazz standard, and I've added this in partly because it's nice, but it has haikus in it. So apart from the middle section, it's a series of Japanese style haikus, and it was written in 1944 by John Blackburn and Carl Sussdorf, and it's the unofficial state song of Vermont in USA, and it's frequently played as the first dance song at Vermont weddings. So so haikus are sort of very descriptive, so it's sort of descriptive but things don't rhyme, but you don't kind of miss that really because it's the way it's written and because it's lovely. Looking at the time, I said we're doing really rather well, but I shouldn't say that, should I? Pennies in a stream, falling leaves of sycamore, moonlight in Vermont. Icy finger waves, ski trails on a mountainside, snow light in Vermont. Telegraph cables, they sing down the highway and travel each bend in the road. People who meet in this romantic setting so hypnotized by the lovely evening. warbling of a meadowlark, moonlight in Vermont. Pennies in a stream, falling leaves of sycamore, moonlight in Vermont. I see finger waves, ski trails on a mountainside, snowlight in Vermont. Telegraph cables, they sing down the highway. And travel each bend in the road. People who meet in this romantic setting are so hypnotized by the lovely evening summer breeze, warbling of a meadowlark, moonlight in Vermont. Aren't these guys fantastic? Yeah, so we're coming to the interval now. Right, now I've just introduced the next. I'm going to do a song to start this set. It's Autumn Leaves. And the reason I chose it is that it started off, I don't know if people realise, it started off entirely as a poem. And written by a French poet called Jacques Prévert. Can't remember exactly when, going back a bit. And he wrote it, and it was just a poem for a while. And then a man called Joseph Cosma, of French-Hungarian extraction, he wrote some music, some very nice music to it, so it became very popular in France. And then, but only really in France, and then Johnny Mercer, American lyricist, heard it and thought, that's a really nice song. Maybe I should write some English lyrics to it. So he wrote some English lyrics, which are not a translation, but they're a sort of similar feel of sort of love and loss. And it became hugely popular, and I think throughout the world really most people would probably know it. So we're going to do Autumn Leaves. The sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear old winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when those autumn leaves start to fall. Ba drift by my window, those autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear a winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when those autumn leaves start to fall. Miss you, miss you, miss you, miss you, miss you, miss you, when those leaves start to fall. Miss you, miss you, miss you, miss you, when those autumn leaves start to fall.
Thank you. This poem is by Linda Marshall, who's unable to be with us tonight, and it's called Cabaret. So you will take me to the cabaret, and I'll wear diamonds, oh la lay. Why does the velvet curtain fall? What makes a dancing girl so tall? I'm dreaming, drinking Malibu, of Tangier days in white and blue. Comb back your itsy glitzy hair, you look so louche, so debonair. We'll dance on air while Amber Max is sloozing, shaking on his sax. Who is that girl in brilliant silk? Her sequins flash like blooms on milk. She is the poet's dizzy twin. She's eating fire in Berlin. Who is that man hunched at the bar, cloaked in a blue smoke hula? He is the king of shades, charades. He's broken women into shards. I like his deep, dark, vacant eyes that suck me into ancient skies. I like his cat-like leopard pose. I want to fall in time, quartz rose. I want to know his truth, his all. Come, wrap me in my gypsy shawl. We'll whirligig across the floor. I see his shadow on the door. What can his shadow steal away? Your spangled starburst, oh la lay. Thank you.
That was really nice. You have Drew next again.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. This is called The Traveller. She was a traveller who loved to dance, and we followed in the slipstream from her dancing shoes, through Africa to Spain, and back again, as she chased her dream. She danced in Nabrongo, Safi, and Madrid, wild starlit nights, barefoot on tabletops, dreamy sunsets, waltzing on the cooling sands. And all around we saw dry wells, failing crops. We fled the flames from burning forests to join the fleeing crowds across the sea in flimsy boats. And we wondered, does she still dance to the haunting violin, still wild and free? Thank you.
It's lovely, Drew. I think we have Bill next.
This next poem is about an imaginary blues singer who falls on hard times but eventually finds some kind of redemption. It's called Blue Lady. They responded to her songs at last, in the hot night, in the sultry dark. Some spark inflamed the crowd. She was Arabella Jones, famous once, who sang sad songs, sang the blues, not the blues, darkened her cloud. The years had not been kind. Her weary eyes were dull with pain. Times were tough. She'd seen enough of life's despair. Years of drink-fueled nights and mornings when daylight bruised her skin. The smell of gin and stale air. Lost days in flea-pit towns, nursing misery, hangovers and depression. Her great obsession dragging her down. She could no longer sing. Her voice was now cracked and thin, a parody of what it used to be, deep and golden brown. But finally she'd had enough. Some grain of sanity prevailed. Some trace of former grace was not forsaken. She climbed out of the bottle and began the 12-step program of AA. To this day, no drink's been taken. And now, center stage, she stands alone, captured in the spotlight's ring. She starts to sing, soft at first, then loud. They responded to her songs at last. In the hot night, in the sultry dark, some spark inflamed the crowd. Thank you.
I'm just looking at who's after me. I'm next, but I'd like to see who's coming on next. I think it's Barbara, isn't it? Yes. So there's lots of, everybody's just doing one poem. There's a lot of running order here. So, right, this is a poem I wrote a while ago, but haven't really performed much until I think I've done it once, maybe recently. And it's called Saving Myself for You. And it's about, if you think anybody, in this case a woman, is rather plain and ordinary, you're not looking properly. Say, who's the scruff who doesn't comb her hair? The one like Woody Allen over there. Maybe they think some of us don't care, but I'm saving myself for you. If you fall in love too much, you get confused with complicated scenes you can't defuse. And jet-set trips you feel you can't refuse. So I'm saving myself for you. I could grace the front of Time Life magazine, draw more crowds than Gandhi or the Queen. But I'd rather be unwashed than super clean, because I'm saving myself for you. I could be Greta Garbo if I tried, exclusive and elusive in my stride. But I wouldn't want to undermine your pride, as I'm saving myself for you. I could have had a guy in every port, a life of pleasure destined to be short. But I avoided being prematurely caught because I'm saving myself for you. I could exude erotic expertise, sap half the nation's pent-up energies, but I'm hiding in these worn-out dungarees and saving myself for you. I could be spoiled with diamonds, gold and mink, in every news affair, the missing link. I've read the tea leaves in the kitchen sink and I'm saving myself for for you. I could be loved by every mother's son. A real life Aphrodite, just for fun. It isn't easy being underdone, saving myself for you. Being unattractive's really hard. You give an inch, some stranger takes a yard. But underneath my throwaway facade, I'm saving myself for you. Thank you very much. Indulging me.
So we've just heard a song about saving myself for you. This is a poem about unrequited love for a jazz musician. I've called it Journeyman. This is it, the song that started it all. I sat in your room, you played it for me. But now I realise the words brought someone else to mind, even in those early days. I recall the paths we have been, all the voices we dared not verbalise, spread like blots on a trespass page. That night you almost died in the car, the time we lay close in your bed, the dreams that silenced me constantly, the hours I invisibly bled. I have always loved you since I discovered your unoccupied grave. I have tried to make you love me, and I have failed. For nothing can drag a journeyman from his life of perpetual road, wedged in the underbelly of glamour and the jazzman's familial code.
Thanks, Barbara. We have Howard now.
Thank you. This is called The Lost Rooster by Jim Mallin. The blues guitar vibrates into its music sound. Drums begin to pulsate while the singer softly hounds. I am a little red rooster who's lost in every way. I strolled out of the barnyard, chasing the mice away. Falling under the farm fence, long before the start of today. Need to get back to the barnyard before my friends begin to stray. Organisation is my concern before the hens begin to lay. Oh, why can't I find my way home? I'm so lost in every way. Lying deep in a dirty ditch, with the wind a-howling, my bright colours begin to switch as snow is fast falling. This rooster is now dripping wet from snow and rain. Please send for the vet. My muddy reds do complain. Although daylight is at rest, my friends need me a-singing, but my voice, my noises are croaking at its best, so I must get back to a crowing. Will somebody please find me before I stumble in rolling stones, or a howling wolf hears of my distant groans? I am a little red rooster and scared for the day. Please come and find me, my barnyard wants my play. The blues guitar is squealing, the beating drums are there, while the singer is a-pleading for this little red rooster's care. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. We're doing another jazz standard now. It's about writing, that's why I chose it. By Rodgers and Hart, 1940s, I guess. A lot of these songs were written in the 1940s. I could write a book. asked me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look. I could write a preface on how we met, so the world would never forget. And the simple secret of the plot is just to tell them that I love you a lot. Then the world discovers, as my book ends, how to make two lovers of friends. If they asked me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look. I could write a preface on how we met, so the world would never forget. And the simple secret of the plot is just to tell them that I love you a lot. Then the world discovers, as my book ends, how to make two lovers, make two lovers, make two lovers of friends. So I think we have, oh yes, Myrna.
My second poem is about the roots of jazz, which, as you know, come from a place of pain, trafficked people, and slave plantations, etc. So it's really about the history of jazz in a way. It's called There Ain't No Jazz Without the Blues. There ain't no jazz without the blues. Folk music, call it what you will. From pain it came, that old stain. Yes, there ain't no jazz without the blues. From cotton fields, American plantations, in the trafficked West, listen to the sound of work songs, shouts, chants, field hollers, call and response, stolen people. There ain't no jazz without the blues. people, but we can only use what we have and survive any which way. No, there ain't no jazz without the blues. They banned the drum, but we will use washboards, wash tubs, jugs, boxes beaten with sticks, our bodies, feet stomp, hands clapping out the rhythm. We will make sweet music, though we have no voice. We will use our voices. There ain't no jazz without the blues. Time passes. Violin, banjo, saxophone, piano. Armstrong, Marsalis, Ellington, Fitzgerald, Bessie Smith, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, Lucy, to name but a few, all in the mix. There ain't no jazz without the blues. There ain't no rock, soul, disco, funk, punk, R&B, rap, garage. Without spirituals, there is no blues. Without the blues, there ain't no jazz. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Amelia. We have Malcolm.
Thank you. One of the many sad things about the pandemic was the lack of live music, particularly for professional musicians. And this poem is really about a trip to see live music, which this is the first live music I've heard in a couple of years, really, and that's been fantastic, absolutely brilliant.
Good choice.
And anyway, this is loosely based on a trip to the Brudenell Social Club, which is just down the road from here. Fortunately, I've got a couple of gigs booked to listen over the next few months, so I'm looking forward to that. But I've called this At Last. Outside, ugly. Inside, an embarrassment of riches. Musical riches. Every day, something different. Folk, rock, indie, blues, jazz, country, punk. You pays your money, you takes your choice. Light outside, dark inside. It's noisy, but no smoke these days. Is that Dylan being played? Now Springsteen. A bit of Tamlin to follow. The beer choice is good, but most are buying the bottled lager. The crowd seem cool, or think they are. Those who've come straight from work loosen their ties, but still look like bank managers. There's those with their long hair in their 70s, wearing t-shirts stretched over aging bellies, proclaiming cool people like jazz, or jazz will save the world. Their faded, tatty jeans, looking like they were worn first at the Isle of Wight Festival. There's even one or two under 40. I'm feeling old, anonymous, dressed in my new black jeans and weird fish fleece. Nowhere to sit, I stand at the back on creaky knees, leaning against the wall between the toilets. Late, of course, the room darkens, an air of excited expectancy ripples round the room, through the gloom and the mass ranks of heads. The musicians gather. Hello Leeds, the guitarist shouts, predictably. Simultaneously the saxophone, like a man who has smoked Capstan full strength all his life, croaks into action. The harsh stage lights pierce the eyes as the music envelops our ears, and more. Heads nod, feet tap, a smile spreads across my face, and like a virulent, benevolent virus is caught by others. At last, live
so much. And we now have Howard.
My final poem is called Heartbeat. My heart is in the back street. The beat has started without me, warming up a winter's night. Music pouring down the road, a flood. Even the trees are dancing. I improvise a love song. My gilded feet glide, fingers click white sparks as I picture a piece of Harlem. The notes pull up my hips all the way to the hall. Ebony and ivory keys, deep and light. The rhythm of a stone skimming across a lake. The bass kicks in, thrumming a heart within a heart. Billy, Ella, Charlie and Miles are with us. Their electricity fills the air between us. The music hangs like smoke. Red, purple and blue notes swirl on the ceiling, soaking into my skin, giving me the feeling I'm floating too, up by the glowing lamps, radiating a gentle hue. And the songs go on until, when the music ends, I can't remember how I got here. We take the evening home with us and put on a record.
That's great. Nearing the end of the evening. We're going to do a jazz standard to finish with, just because I like it. And we, quite often play it at the end of gigs. And it's very joyful, and we need lots of that nowadays, don't we, in our lives. And it's called Almost Like Being in Love. It's a Lerner and Lowe song. We're doing okay. For the last number, we're actually wonderful at a time, really. Yeah. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. It's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. It's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I swear I was falling, swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love, 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 love. Ba-da-ba-ba. From the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, it's where I was falling, where I was falling. It's almost like being in love. What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. It's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. It's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I swear I was falling, swear I was falling. It's almost like being, it's almost like being, it's almost like being in love. Thank you so much. And what a lovely evening with all these wonderful poets. Give a round of applause for fantastic poets who've performed tonight. It's been really lovely to hear all their different poems. And thanks also to this fantastic band. On piano, George MacDonald. On the bass, Fergus Hill. And on drums, Josh Smith. And Jane Watson. Thank you so much. It's been such a nice evening, and it is so nice to have live music. And keep supporting it.